Stop. Just stop for a moment. Pause everything. Take a deep breath. I know you've been through something that hurt, something that broke you, something you're still carrying. And maybe you've been thinking, what was the point? Why did I have to go through that? But I need to tell you something that might change how you see your pain. Your pain doesn't have to save anyone. It just has to light the way. Let me tell you what you've been feeling. You survived something hard. Maybe trauma, maybe loss, maybe a season of your life that nearly destroyed you. And now you're on the other side and you're asking yourself, was it worth it? What was it all for? And maybe people have told you, your pain has a purpose. You're supposed to help others now. Your story can save someone. And that feels heavy, like you're supposed to turn your trauma into a mission, like you're supposed to rescue people, like your suffering only matters if you can monetize it, package it, use it to help others. And if you're not doing that, if you're just trying to heal, then maybe your pain was meaningless. But that's not true, not even close. Let me tell you about the day I almost died. I was 30 years old, just 2 weeks past my birthday, and I'd gone to the Peruvian Amazon for a 12-day ayahuasca retreat. I had just burned out from my startup, lost a 7-year relationship, felt like a stranger in my own life. I was deeply depressed, even though outside I smiled for everyone. So I went to Peru looking for answers, for healing, for some way to put myself back together. And on day 10 of that 12-day retreat, the final ceremony was supposed to happen that night. I was eager because I was hoping to get final answers to the deep questions weighing me down. But that afternoon, while everyone was resting, something went wrong. I had been having diarrhea since the night before, but I had dismissed it, thought it was nothing. It would go away. Except it didn't. It kept going through the night, through the morning, through the afternoon. That day, I ate breakfast and lunch and shrugged it all off like nothing was wrong. I didn't tell anyone because I didn't think it was a big deal. I also didn't want to inconvenience anyone. Then, that afternoon, I needed to take a long nap. But when I woke up, I was covered in sweat. My blood pressure had plummeted, and I ran to the restroom and heard my stomach groan so loud. And I knew I needed help. So I ran out of my little thatched roof hut, and I waved to one of the caretakers, Daniel. And he was relaxing on a hammock, and he waved back, thinking I was just saying hello. But then I yelled, "I need help." And he ran over, called people from the retreat to come help. They started bringing me natural remedies. Literally, the locals hacking off plants and bark from the trees in the jungle, making me fresh juices for me to drink. My stomach groans were so loud that everyone there was bewildered by what was wrong. My head hurt so much, and I was getting weaker and weaker. And the shaman was gone. He'd gone to the nearby village for supplies. And a medic was supposed to come by boat. That person was 40 minutes away. So instead, they sent a woman from the village, and she had arrived to inject me with something to stop the diarrhea. The thing is, the vial shattered in her hand, and she tried to hide it, but I could see it in the mirror as I was bent over waiting for the injection. And I thought, I'm going to die here. I'm going to make global news as some stupid American who died abroad doing nonsense. Later, when the medic finally arrived, he evaluated me, and he said I was extremely dehydrated from so much diarrhea. He could barely find my pulse. So he asked the men to carry me into the hut and to hook me up to an IV that was going to go on the curtain rail. But then suddenly the rail collapsed, and I could hear the men arguing, trying to fix it in Spanish, shouting. I could hear the tension as the medic said that I was slipping, that something wasn't right at all. And then I felt the IV fluid flow into my body. And then everything went cold and dark and quiet. And the thing about the jungle is that it's never quiet. You always hear bugs and birds and everything. It's the sounds of the jungle. But here, all I felt was deep, dark quiet and a strong fuzziness in my head. And I told myself, this is it. I'm dead. I'm gone. I'm such a fool for doing all of this. I regret coming here. What a mistake. I'm going to disappoint and humiliate my parents, my family, my friends, my legacy, all because I wanted to find myself and seek deep guidance to navigate my life. And then in that dark depth, light emerged from nowhere. And I saw my maternal grandmother. She had passed away well over a decade. She walked up to me wearing a beautiful red dress. And in Spanish, I asked her, "Grandma, where am I? Am I dead?" She smiled back and she looked at me with this confident look, the kind that just understands how important your purpose on this planet is and this life. And she understood it more than I did, as if all along she had been there by my side, protecting me, guiding me as an ancestor, as an angel. And she told me, "Don't be silly. This is merely your beginning. You're on a mission. Go with courage, my beloved son. Don't fear the path. You're protected." And then she reached out with her hand and her palm touched my forehead and she smiled. Suddenly, I was jolted back into reality. I felt the fuzziness lift. The sounds of the jungle reemerged. I could hear the voices of the men saying I was coming back, that I had passed for a moment. I was gone for over 30 seconds. But it felt like I had left for days. My body then started shaking violently, almost like convulsions. Daniel, the caretaker of the retreat, he's become an amazing lifelong friend to me. But he stood right next to me and he held my neck to keep it from shaking so violently. He thought that I was going to die. And Daniel, this man, he has seen it all kinds of horrible things in the jungle, in excursions. But he later told me that in that moment, he felt it deep in his stomach that I was about to go, that this was it, that I was going to die, and that somehow it was going to be all his fault. And when the shaking finally stopped, I soiled myself. I felt humiliated, so embarrassed by everything. I felt like I had hit rock bottom spiritually, but I was winning that inner war regardless, and I wasn't going to back down then. I was going to fight this. Eventually, I woke up, and I was surrounded by the people who were helping me, watching over me. They were extremely happy to see me come back. That night, the shaman had canceled the ceremony. He said it would happen tomorrow. And of course, I felt immense guilt, like I'd robbed everyone of their experience, like I'd inconvenienced them by my circumstance. But honestly, they all just wanted me to be safe. Nothing else mattered. The next morning, the shaman ordered Daniel to take me by boat to the Amazon River to the city of Iquitos. It's a long, winding journey so that I could get tested at a hospital. And once there, after they ran tests, they found a parasite. Gave me medicine, asked if I wanted to do the final ayahuasca ceremony. The doctor said it would be fine, but it was ultimately up to me if I felt ready for it. I looked at Daniel and he told me, Brother, you already survived death once. Anything from here onward is a victory. So I did it. And that night, I had the most beautiful ceremony of my life. One that answered my deepest doubts and questions about finding true love, about not being alone in my life. At the end, the shaman came up to me, hugged me, and said that he had seen in his visions that love would never be an issue for me. Because I was put on this planet to be loved and to share that love with others across all walks of life. And then I left the Amazon. I came back to America, obviously with a lot of deep introspection. And I kept thinking about what my grandmother had said in that vision. You're on a mission. You're protected. But what was the mission? Was I supposed to save people? Rescue them from their own darkness? Turn my near-death experience into some kind of movement? That's when I started to understand something. Let me show you what I mean. Imagine you're standing on a rocky coastline in the middle of a storm. Ships are out there in the dark, trying to navigate toward shore, toward safety. And on the cliff, there's a lighthouse. And here's what I realized. That lighthouse, it's not moving. It's not going out to rescue anyone. It's not pulling ships to safety. It's just standing there, shining its light. And here's what that light does. It shows the ships where the rocks are. It shows them where it's safe to pass. It shows them they're not alone in the dark. But the lighthouse doesn't rescue anyone. It just lights the way. And that's all your pain has to do. That's all my pain had to do. I didn't have to save anyone. I didn't have to become a motivational speaker. I didn't have to write a book or start a nonprofit to turn my ayahuasca trauma into a TED Talk. I just had to exist and let my light shine. Because here's the truth. Someone out there is navigating the same storm I survived. And they're looking for a sign that it's possible to make it through. And when they see you still standing, breathing, still here, that's the light. When I came back to America, people wanted me to share my story. A lot of people told me, Armando, you should write about this. Tell the whole world about ayahuasca. Become a guru. Share how it transformed you. I felt this deep urge to do exactly that, to tell everyone everything I had experienced in Peru. Looking back, I realized it was mostly for validation, to show people I was strong, that I had done something extremely risky and controversial, that I should be respected and wanted. I felt that if I didn't share this, people would miss out on my complexity and depth, that they wouldn't see me as someone who had taken big risks and done adventurous things in life. So I started sharing, and many people thought it was weird, amusing, woo-woo, that I was crazy, that I got what I deserved for going to such a remote place and doing something so risky and stupid. They wouldn't say it to my face, but I could feel it. And I realized I was trying to convince people of something. That felt exhausting. A few months after I returned from Peru, I went on a solo hike in the Barton Creek Greenbelt here in Austin, in Texas. It was fall. It was sunset. The weather was cooling finally. The tree foliage was changing. It was getting chilly. I remember I took a break. I sat down by a little stream. I was alone. Nobody was around. And I just sat there, contemplating, watching my reflection in the water, thinking deeply about everything. I could hear the stream flowing, the quiet of the forest. It was so much calmer and more peaceful than the chaos of the jungle. But in that stillness, I realized something. My journey was mine. I didn't have to save the world. I didn't have to convince anyone of anything. The right opportunities would come naturally for me to share my stories at the right time with the right people. I didn't need to feel the impulse or the pressure to fix everyone. I just needed to be a role model, lead by example. And people who needed me would find me at the right time. And they would hear the right stories from my life. I felt freedom, relief, and strength to focus on myself, to use that energy to help others indirectly. Surviving alone was my lighthouse. And this story itself has shaped me in ways that have impacted the lives of others without me needing to force it on them. Now, let me tell you what you don't owe to anyone. You don't owe anyone your story. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't owe anyone a lesson wrapped in a bow. Your pain is yours, and how you hold it is your choice. Maybe you share it. Maybe you don't. Maybe you talk about it. Maybe you just keep it private. But here's what happens either way. Just by surviving, you're already lighting the way. Think about it. Every time you show up after a hard season, you're proving survival is possible. Every time you keep going after loss, you're showing someone else they can too. Every time you exist in the aftermath of pain, you're a lighthouse for someone who's still in the storm. You don't have to perform it. You don't have to package it. You don't have to make it beautiful or inspiring or Instagram worthy. You just have to be here. And that's enough. Because the lighthouse doesn't try to be a lighthouse. It just is. And the light it gives, that's just what happens when it stands where it is. So let me tell you what you actually are. You're not a savior. You're not a hero. You're not responsible for rescuing everyone who's struggling. You're a lighthouse. And your job is just to stand where you are and shine. Every day you wake up after surviving something hard, that's the light. Every time you choose to keep going when quitting would be easier, that's the light. Every moment you exist in the aftermath of pain and say, I'm still here, that's the light. And someone out there, someone you'll never meet, someone who's navigating their own storm will see you standing. And they'll think, if they made it through, maybe I can too. You don't have to save them. You don't have to reach out and pull them to shore. You just have to keep standing. And your light will do the rest. So here's what I need you to do. Stop thinking your pain has to become a movement. Stop thinking you have to turn your trauma into content. Stop thinking your story only matters if it helps other people. Your pain matters because you survived it. That's it. And that's enough. And if you want to share, share. If you want to talk about it, talk. If you want to help others, help. But know this, you don't have to. Your survival is already the light. Your existence is already the proof. Your life is already the lighthouse. And if you need to claim this, if you need to release the pressure, leave a comment down below. Just type, I'm just the lighthouse, and say it out loud. Because when you stop trying to save everyone and start just being present, your light shines brighter than any performance ever could. So no, you don't have to save anyone. You don't have to fix anyone. You don't have to be anyone's hero. You just have to stand where you are and let your survival light the way.